Welcome to the Jonathan Acuna podcast, where we love to talk about business, productivity, and technology. Today, I'm so excited that you joined because today we get to nerd out and we're going to do Clickup versus Notion. Oh my God, this is so dope. Everyone's talking about Notion. Everyone's talking about Clickup. What are these apps? They're helping people remember, build second brains and knowledge management. They're helping people with task management. What are these apps and how can I use it in my life to level me up? John, help me. And that's what I'm here to do. Today, we're going to dive in and we're going to look at both ClickUp and Notion in about, one, two, three, four, five, six different areas. Because I want to do something different than like traditional apps. Like, let's check the price. Let's check the feature. No. I'm much higher level thinking as far as where do these apps fit in your workflow? In your entire workflow. So it's like, just use this for this app and that app. No. What do you do as a job? What is your function and what is that process? And in that process, what is the right tool that's going to help you execute? And so that's where we're going to look at ClickUp and Notion. So let's dive into my brain. Bam. So of course, we're nicely organized. We're going to talk about Notion and ClickUp. What are they? First off, we're going to talk about what are they? They're not the same. No. They are definitely not the same. Next, we're going to take a look at both of them and how do they handle document management. So we're both managing files, meeting notes, all that important files. Like, how does each of those apps handle it? We'll take a look at that. We'll actually take a look next as task management because that's the bulk of it. How do we get work done? We're here to get shit done, people. Like, that's what it's about. Like, so how does ClickUp differ from Notion in task management? We're going to look at the different configuration options. How much can we customize these apps? Every business is unique. Every workflow is unique. And so you would tailor the app specifically to your workflow. And so how some of these tools, they allow you to customize it, which is great. Some don't, which is bad. So we want to make sure what are our superpowers in here? How much can we customize it? We'll look at templates because we're lazy. We want to start off with some pre-built templates to get started quickly today because not everyone's an administrator to build stuff from scratch, so that's okay. And then also, we're going to look at their calendar features. How does each one integrate with the calendar? What do they look like? Does it integrate? We'll take a look at that. And lastly, ClickUp and Notion, or just like all the other apps in your ecosystem, they don't just sit in a silo. They need to talk or integrate with other applications in your workflow. So we'll take a look at what applications and integrations do ClickUp and Notion integrate with. And to get started, I've already set up, 1, 2, 3 demos that we could take a look at. So first we're going to start off with what are they? First off, let's just straight talk right here. ClickUp and Notion are not the same type of app. So they're both specialized in a very unique way, but they also can generally do each other's features kind of good. So let's talk about what each one of those are. ClickUp is specifically a task management application. What does that mean, John? That means that ClickUp is specifically tailored to have features and it's specifically tailored for task and project management. That's its bread and butter. So it's a specialized app. And just like a 10,000 foot view zooming out, you're not going to have one app do everything in your business. You're going to have a specific need in your business, so for example, managing tasks, and then you're going to find a specialized app that either works with it or a generalized app that you're probably using for something else. So that's where there are apps that are specialized for a job and there are apps that are generalized also. They could do general features. So ClickUp being task management, what does that leave Notion with? Notion is for knowledge management. It's going to allow you to index, to quickly save, build upon lots of knowledge. So think of just documents, basically. Lots of document management. It allows you to quickly enter information, retrieve information, and then iterate on that information to innovate in new ideas. So if you're a knowledge worker or a person that uses your brain for lots of thinking and you want to come up with new ideas, you're indexing lots of information, consuming it, digesting it, trying to build upon that knowledge, or a student learning, Notion is going to be the bread and butter going to help. So now that we know that ClickUp is for task management and Notion is for knowledge management, as we dive into the apps, we can start to see the differences where some have better features that are more suited for what that need is. So again, it comes back to your need. Do you need to get a lot of work done specifically? Like then you're going to use ClickUp to get work done. do you need to manage lots of or do you need to manage lots of documents or information, school, college information, say for example, or writing lots of SOPs or all of that? That's going to be Notion. So I actually use both. I've actually been using Notion for like, oh my gosh, so many years. Like I've run Notion as a project manager. So no doubt, like Notion can be a project manager, but it's not going to be the best project manager. And same up with ClickUp. ClickUps can document. You could put documents in there, but it's not going to be the best for storing documents. So let's dive into that. Let's look at our first one. So our first one is how easy it is to store and retrieve and use documents, because we need to manage a lot of documents, training manuals and stuff like that. So for example, in Notion, I have a list here that's managing all my SOPs, standard operating procedures. All these are a list of instructions in a business on how to do a process or a routine. That's it. For example, how to create content. If you click on it, it's going to have, oh, do step 1, do step 2. Real simple. Notion is really good at, the cool thing about when Notion makes it very easy to create a very, what I would call a dynamic document, meaning you could throw anything in there from pictures, videos, and allows you to format a document very quickly so you can build on an idea. So for example, I copied this from the web, and Notion went to this website, nicely all laid out, nicely organized, great article. I want to save this for my knowledge, so we could throw this using the web clipper. We'll throw this into standard operating procedure. Just throw it into a list in Notion. Just throw it into your brain. That's basically. I'll click save, but I already saved it. So it's right here. So when it saves it, it pulls in all that information. It nicely organizes it, or it brings in the pictures. It brings in all the formatting. See all the bullets and formatting. So it's great for documents as far as adding pictures, adding text, organizing it, adding a outline. So you could quickly see what are all the talking points that are in this document from like a 10,000 point view. So this is how Notion manages documents, which makes it amazing for knowledge management. I've built my entire second brain. Like I've cloned my brain in Notion. Everything, every task, meeting, note, interest, book, everything is in Notion. And I could quickly retrieve it. Like say, for example, I want to see all the books I've not read or consumed, or everything that's in my book library. So for example, this is a list of all the books that I'm tracking across the, I don't know, 200 plus interests that I have. So this is knowledge management at its max. Like you don't, like each one of these tools, you can, if you know how to use the tool correctly, you can build it to do it whatever you want with it. So I know how to build this custom application. So like, I don't want to intimidate you, sorry, but Notion makes it very easy to keep a list of all of the information. For example, keeping a list of all my books. It's very easy to see them all here related and indexed by category. But how many books? 722 books are being tagged to a specific interest. Like say, for example, here I was interested in the science of excellence, sports psychology. This is an interest that I have. And so if I want to see what books I have in there, I can scroll down to this interest, and I can see these are the books. 2 of them I'm reading, and these are some other ones that I've thrown in the queue. So this is helping me organize like what's in your reading list, how many books are, it's not about how many books that you've read, but when I go back to these books, I could go back to all my book notes, for example. Let's go to EOS. This is a great book, EOS. So here's all my book notes for EOS. So when I went to go back, I'm like, that's a great book. I learned a lot. Let me go back and review my notes. Look at all these great notes that I'm like, oh yeah, because that's what's really about. To commit this to long-term memory is just repetition, just showing you the same information. So I viewed this document maybe like 20 times. And so I remember all these principles and stuff like that. And I revisit from now and then. So this is how I could revisit past knowledge to build upon new knowledge, and also to kind of like stay organized with knowledge or all information. So that's just one way on steroids that you can organize information in Notion. That was that was a lot. We went on a little tangent there. How does ClickUp do knowledge management? In ClickUp, let's say, for example, I'm running a sales team. And my sales team, they have a list of, here's a list of all my leads in my sales team, for example. This is fake. Don't think this is real. Like, this is all fake. So say, for example, I'm managing a sales pipeline for my team, and I need, what would knowledge management apply to a sales team? How about a list of your sales process? How about a list of your products? How about a list of all that is information and knowledge that your reps need to execute on whatever the process is or to do the process? So you could create like a tab in here, and this tab will hold all the documents right here. So you can see a list of, here's all the documents that are being saved. And then you could open one of them, like here's one of the sales process. And then you can see text, images. It's not the best for documents. It's, so if I were to say, for example, this is a great article, and let's say I copy this. I'm like, yeah, I want this with the formatting. If I do this in Notion, it's going to keep the formatting, for example. So if I copy that and paste it, because they have stuff on their website to copy, which is we don't want. But if you use the web clip, it will keep the formatting. So here's one where you can add pictures, you can add text, you could do bullets, you could do all the different types of like formatting. You could add headers. You could format all of these like documents. Notion has their own formatting where you're like headers, bullets, toggle lists, and stuff like that. So you can format as a document real easily for both of them. Challenge with this, like, it's one list in here. There's no, see, like how, let's see if I go to, I got to find the SOP. I don't want to find it again. Darn. Maybe, no. So in Notion with the SOP is nicely organized, but with ClickUp, you just have these little folders, and it's harder to organize if you have lots of documents. So it's kind of like, it's really good for light document management, I would put it as. Let's dive into the next one. Let's dive into task lists. So how does Notion and ClickUp differ in managing your tasks? So these are two templates that I took from Notion. You could get this template if you go templates. This is Notion templates. On the right-hand side, I'm in the way, but there's support. Oh, I could do this. Cool. Okay, cool. There's support, under support right here. There's this supersized task list right there. So that's where I got the Notion template task list. This one you can see here, you can see all the tasks, you can see what the status is, you can see who is it assigned to, you can see what's the priority, you can see when it's due date. So that's why you would think about Notion as like a place to, like, it never forgets the detail, but you always have to update it. And there's not much for automation and syncing with calendar. So think of it as a very static to-do list that has very limited automations as far as, but it's superpower as far as what you can add into it and use it as a task manager. I've been using it on my work, and I've pushed like over 50 projects on time and under budget using Notion as a task manager. So if it's a beast of a task manager if you're on it. Again, you have a framework for productivity. That's what I have. So it doesn't matter the tool; it's the framework that's really makes it efficient. So let's dive into. So basically, with Notion, it's a lot of customization, and you kind of have to think about what do you need. So for example, like you'll get a template and this will be blank, and you'll be like, what do I need here? And you would have to think, okay, I need a place to add a description, maybe a place to add what the tasks are. So we're like, okay, I'll write a place for description, I'll write a place for to do. So Notion is very manual, and as far as like you have to build your templates, build your apps basically. So for someone like me, I could spin up a quick list and then put all the information in there, organize it, and then I could share that with the team, and then everyone knows it. And so it's very powerful and very quick, but it's also very manual. And it's more meant for knowledge management. But then if you go to ClickUp is specialized for task management. So if you're in here and you have a list of tasks, you get superpowers like, so think of the reason why ClickUp is a lot more different is because ClickUp, you're more of a manager than employee. And that's different because Usually you're like, John, I have to do a lot of work. And so, yes, you have to do a lot of work. And so you're going to use Notion or ClickUp to manage your work. But where ClickUp really shines is if you're a manager, a business owner, or a leader, and you need to manage a team and manage their work. That's why you're going to use something like ClickUp different than Notion. You need to manage a team, work, hours, like workload, hours, tasks, projects, priorities. Like you're going to be managing even departments like communication, emails, follow-ups, all reminders, syncing with the calendar, integrations with forms and stuff. I'll demo a lot of that, but like that's where ClickUp is really shining. It's meant to manage an army of people to execute on your vision. It's the best way I could describe it. Like it's specially designed for tasks. So you'll see a lot of features in here that are designed for tasks to help you manage tasks, but not so much manage knowledge. So it's like, see the differences? You can put knowledge or articles in here, but it's not the best. So that's why each tool has its own strays. So I use both. So depending on your organization and what you need, do you need to manage a lot of knowledge? Yeah, I use ClickUp. Do you need to get shit done? Yeah, knowledge, Notion. If you need to get shit done, ClickUp. So, but both of them, I could get shit done with Notion just as good, just as well too. It's just how you use the tool. So the tool's not going to make you more productive. It's how you use the tool, which is like the framework. I teach that too, which is a whole nother story. But so here we could take a look. So with Notion, you kind of have to create your, we'll call it placeholders or your buckets to put information, like put a bucket for due date, put a placeholder to hold priority, put a placeholder to hold the status, put a placeholder to hold the sign. So you would build to create these based off what you need. You're like, oh, I need a date. Okay, let me create a place. So you'll build it as you need it and as you go. So don't think you're like, I don't know how to customize. You're like, oh, once you learn how to use a tool, you could customize it to fit whatever you need, honestly. Whereas ClickUp already has pre-populated like a description field here, your title, your main subject header here. It already has built-in priorities. It has built-in assignments. It has built-in time tracking, so you could track time for you to how long does it take to do this task, for example. You're also going to track you can estimate the hours. So you're like, oh, you can estimate all your work, and then you're like, wow, estimation comes out to 10 hours. I only work 8. So wait a minute, there's more hours than there is days. So that are hours and days. So wait a minute, there's more work here. As a manager, I need to go manage and reallocate those resources. So time estimation is a great feature in here that it's not that Notion doesn't have. Again, it's not a matter of do they have it, do they don't. What do you need? I need to manage tasks and get shit done. You're going to use a specialized tool like ClickUp, or I need to manage knowledge and stuff like that. So but you could customize them. So, but then you could build, I mean, these are just due dates. You can build the same due date. So you're like, oh, I need a due date. I'll just add it here. So you can replicate the same thing in ClickUp in Notion too. So in ClickUp, you could also, this is kind of cool. This syncs with your email. And so you can email a client back and forth from here and keep a chat log of the history of the conversation. That's pretty handy if you're a sales rep and you want to email your leads all back and forth and you want to keep track of all the leads information here. Pretty handy here. And then you could customize both of them. When we go back into, like, say, for example, how good are they as customization? Notion is really good at customization. Notion, you could customize it all the way through. ClickUp, you could customize it by adding automations. You could add reminders. You could add follow-ups, or recurring tasks. Here's something like adding custom fields. So you can add custom fields, a checkbox, or like a text field. I have another one, for example. This one. No, there was one that had a field in there that could show you. If I go to my sales pipeline, let's just go to new leads. I think this one has like sales calculation. Yeah, this one I want to show you. So for example, this one has a lot of custom fields. So here's a contact. So this is a sales pipeline. So they're tracking leads. So here you can create custom fields, contact, add a phone number, email, add an email, employee count, do a drop down. And then you can do calculations in some of these. You can add long text. So these are all just fields that you can add customized, or you can add them. Notion does the same exact thing. You can add custom fields right here. They call them properties. And so you could create the same thing. Do you want a text? Do you want a multi-select? Do you want a date? Do you want a person? Do you file? So you could create custom, you could both customize them to hold additional information. Think of them as buckets, placeholders for certain types of information. For example, I only want to accept, for example, websites in URL. So I need a URL field here, and that URL is going to go to my website. And then now I have a place to hold the website, and it acts like a URL. So if I click on it, then you get these cool little behaviors, like it'll open a website and stuff like that. So that's what these customizations are. Let's move into calendar. How does calendar look? Notion has a static calendar, you want to think of it like. So here we can see our task list. And so we can see our task list, and we can see, oh, it's assigned. It's going to be due date on September 22nd. So it's like, okay, cool. So you can see that this list in a calendar. So we can see here, oh, and here's the date. You can move it around. You can click on it. You can see the details. Great. But it's very manual, and it's very static. You want to think of it as it's just a placeholder to remember details. And details you have to go back, and it only updates if you update it. So that's where the thing of Notion is like great for remembering all, like I need to remember this calendar and move it, but I'll be updating this, like I'll be budgeting my work or stuff like that. So you can see calendar here, but it doesn't really integrate. You can integrate, but there's like, you have to get in. It's not easy. Clickup integrates with your calendar, your Google Calendar. And also, say for example, I have let's do personal productivity. I have a task list here. So I have a task list in Notion, in ClickUp, for I'm managing personal projects, for example. So for personal productivity. So these are personal projects that I'm working on, for example. And so say I want to see this in a calendar. You can see the same list view, much like these are called list views, where you can view the list in just different ways. So here, same here. So here we want to view it as a calendar. So if I view that list as a calendar, looks great. But the cool thing about this is on the right-hand side, you can see tasks. Here's all your unscheduled and then overdue tasks. We don't have anything overdue, which is nice. But look at these unscheduled tasks. So my calendar looks pretty light. I'm going to just drag and budget my week. I'll do that next week. I'll do that next week too. So now I can budget my week. And for example, if I'm budgeting that, I'm like, oh, I have 3 tasks on one day. I have too many tasks on that day. Like I need to budget and reallocate this for next week. So just like in time blocking, here you're also time blocking, but in a calendar. So you're budgeting your whole week to make sure you have enough, not enough, but you make sure that you're not budgeting more work than you have hours to actually work. So that's the calendar in both of them. The last I want to touch with is like integrations, like what do each of these integrate with, for example. And so with ClickUp, ClickUp's going to integrate with a lot of different, you could just take a screenshot here. You can integrate it with Slack, with your email. You could do it with Zoom. You could do time tracking. What else are you going to do? They have a lot of really good custom reports too built in. I want to show this here. Notion doesn't have reporting. So this is something where you're like, oh, I need to track what's our workload, our sprint, how many hours, how many tasks is left to be done. What's our workload for the week? How are we doing on our projects? How are we doing on our quarterly goals? Are we up to status? Are we like 25% done? Are we done? So you as a manager could quickly see at a 10,000-foot view across all the projects across your organization. Are we on track? Are there any blockers? Like where are we? And so this is why it's really cool for like a leader or a manager, for you're managing your whole team. Like this is amazing. So cool. And then you also get like managing time, tracking, estimates, reporting, and stuff like that. If you need to like do hourly breakdown and stuff like that, ClickUp's going to has some really cool features that's going to help you there. We covered a lot. Let's summarize, because that was a lot of like different features of like Notion, and we dived into like to see how they manage tasks, how they manage documents, how they manage different calendars, just to give you a light overview. I highly recommend you can start with one of their like buy one of the 1 months. Never buy the whole year, honestly, yes. Unless you're like you've really tried out every feature and it fits your entire workflow and you know it's going to work for you for the next 6 to 12 months. You're like, then go buy the whole year package. But I'd run that monthly cost for the software just so it makes sure it's the right software for your team and your team is getting used to it, they're working with it, and you're building. Because sometimes, again, every business is different and you and your team need something different, unique. So we want to make sure you have the right tool for the right job. So, in summary, with ClickUp, you can manage a team up to the size of an army to ruthlessly execute on your vision. That's ClickUp. Notion, you can build a second brain that will never forget any detail. And that's important if you're trying to revisit all past knowledge, if you're trying to build upon new knowledge, and then you're trying to innovate, come up with new ideas to stay competitive in your industry or your field. That's where knowledge is going to give you that competitive advantage. If you struggle with technology and you depend on it to do your job as a professional, a business owner, or a leader, click the link below and you can get training that you need to stay competitive in this new digital economy, because I don't want you to get left behind. If you found this helpful, I ask that you please share this with that one ambitious friend who is always looking to level up. They'll enjoy this video. I'm Jonathan Acuna. I'll see you in the next episode. Stay blessed.